If you remember at the time, it was very important to me because it was about professionalising the tooling group. Up until that point, it had been a very disparate group of individuals. There was no team cohesion, and tooling engineers were regarded in quite negative light. They're the engineering community within a big organisation who aren't university educated. They've often come through the apprentice route. They've left school at 16. They don't have the educational kudos and that social capital that a lot of graduate engineers have. And my objective was to professionalise the tooling and engineering department and make it a force to be reckoned with. And it completely revolutionised the tooling group, completely transformed it. When I took over, believe it or not, there were people in the department who'd actually never met each other. That's how disparate the group was, so it had a huge impact. When I took over, the people who are now managers, the training I've seen bring those individuals on to such a degree, the transformation is quite remarkable and goes on. And then taking them through the programme management training really brought on as individual characters. Confidence has just grown immeasurably, quite remarkable. I wanted to make it a standard for any member of the tooling group that they've done the stakeholder or an engage programme and the basic programme management function programme, the online learning, as a minimum, so that when people coming into the department were aware that delivering a tooling programme is just not about delivering blocks of steel into a factory. It's about taking on all the extraneous influences that you have to deal with and understand and manage and become skilled managers of the people around you. Be commercially aware, but also be socially aware of the people around you within the business, both senior and at your same level, but in different functions, and junior. I mean, we joke about Balsh. It's actually a great place to go to. The people are great, but it is an awful long way to go to Romania. But we are dealing across Europe, and we still are the only team, even after the restructure, is dealing across Europe. There are no other tooling groups who are doing that. They're all very local. So it's about an international force as well, and understanding some cultural differences perhaps. You know, in Slovakia and the Czech Republic and Romania, how people behave, southern Germany. One of the great turnarounds was Phil Carter's delivery of the 540 programme into Plattling, because we delivered Chinese tools into Plattling. For 2 years before that programme, I'd battled with my German colleagues and Plattling to get them to accept Chinese tools on previous programmes. Horrendous situation on a Mercedes programme. I ended up having to fly out to South Africa to solve problems out there because there couldn't be a less engaged group of people in understanding what they were dealing with. Phil Carter completely turned that round to the point where Plattling were asking us to manage German tooling programmes for them. That's the level of success that came out of it. And I think it's to do with that training and that commitment to understanding the team. You're not just dropping these blocks of metal off the door and walking away. You're actually socialising them through into a whole production scenario. It's allowed me to relax, to feel secure that team of people around me are performing. They are doing their role without much input from me at all. As I've indicated earlier today, my role has expanded, it's changed. I've taken on more departments with different skill sets, which has been a challenge for me because you have to understand that skill set to some degree as well. but it's being able to leave and not worry that those team members weren't doing the work with the enthusiasm that they were doing when I was directly involved in their working day, and also to know that it's brought on the individuals, as I said before, Lee and Paul, to become effective managers as well. So people that I can rely on to get on and do what they need to do, why I have to explore these new avenues that are being, and challenges that are being placed in front of me. I guess I have, inevitably. I'm much more skimming the problems now, dealing with the process engineering, which is the first department, which was a big challenge, but more that I could grasp quite easily because it was within my engineering kind of mindset. Cut and sew is a completely different kettle of fish. For the first time we have women in the department. You know, we've been normally a bunch of blokes and I guess blokes being blokes are barely free about that. Now we have two women in the department. I had my first meeting with that department yesterday. It's a completely different skill set. It's taking a lot of my time because not only is it getting to grips and managing the department, we're also managing moving that department into a new building. So we're setting up a new building, a new cut and sew development room in a different factory. So there's a whole other dimension to that process as well. It's allowed me to gain confidence at more senior levels. So now I spend more time than I ever thought I would have done with the CEO of the company and with the vice presidents of the company. There's certainly no nervousness on my part about that. There's certainly no intimidation about that. There is, of course, a careful political, shall we say, approach to how you deal with those individuals, of course. And that has been useful to read perhaps people's behaviour, how to engage them with them and when to engage with them is also critical. So that's been very useful. I haven't done, I guess, in some ways, the programme management side, but I've done also a lot of the other sides, which is about self-learning, about my own character. I can still spill over into the negative side. As I alluded to earlier, it's easy to do that when you're under enormous pressure and other people in other departments aren't performing. But for the most part, I sleep at night, which is good to know. And as I said, because I know I've got people I can rely on as well.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for your openness and your reflections.
No problem. Thank you.
You.